probably missed this, but CNN is going apoplectic right now as they just published a brand new poll for 2028 and the Democrat candidates for president. It ain't looking good. Let's get to it.
So we see Governor Newsom. He's got a book, I think, which actually publishes today. He's in the middle of the fray of possible Democratic contenders. So what do the polls say?
Yeah, they're all running, and this is just a downright clown car at this point on the Democratic side. I mean, just take a look here. Top choices for the 2028 Dem-Pres nominee. You have a leader, but it's not really a clear leader. It's within the margin of error. You have Newsom at 19%. Then you have former Vice President Kamala Harris at 18%. Quite a weak number for her, given that, of course, she was the nominee last time around. Pete Buttigieg, who, of course, has run before, 13%. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 12%. This is just a total clown car. It is a total mess. There is no clear front runner at this particular point on the Democratic side. Who the heck knows who the nominee is going to be in 2 years?
It's been a long time since we've had a Democratic race like this.
Yeah, it has been a long time. This is very unusual for the Democratic side to not have a clear front runner at this point. National early poll leader at least 25%. Look at this. This year, we get the giant question mark. No one. In 2020, when there was no incumbent, it was Joe Biden who was there, Hillary Clinton in both 2008 and 16, and Al Gore in both 2000 and 2004 at this point. We're at least at 25% of the early polls. You have to go all the way back from when I wasn't even in elementary school yet, not even in pre-K yet, to 1992. That was the last cycle in which there was no clear front runner at this point. Very unusual.
Totally unusual. Sorry about that. Totally unusual. And it's actually explainable. What the Democrats have done is run off every normal person in their party. And when you now look at the candidates from AOC to Gavin Newsom to Kamala, actually, she just said this morning that she hasn't made a decision, but she just might run for 2028. And then Pete Buttigieg. What you have is the whole progressive arm of the Democrat Party. There's nobody in that mix that can meet to the middle. But what you're actually seeing now, and this is hilarious, is that of all people, Gavin Newsom, who's run California completely into the ground, is going all over the world trying to be the Democrat champion and represent America. He was in Munich. He was at the World Economic Forum. And now here, again, terrible news coming in from CNN, but now we have NPR, who's calling out Gavin Newsom for being two-faced and shape-shifting, and nobody knows what this guy stands for. By the way, including Gavin, too. He has no clue where he's going with this.
It's who I am. You know, I'm married into a big Republican family, and I love my Republican father-in-law.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here in a rural part of a red state.
Okay, I want to understand who you are politically, because I'm trying to understand your overall strategy here. On one hand, you are bringing people like the late Charlie Kirk, like Steve Bannon onto your podcast. On the other hand, you're trolling President Trump on X.
Yeah.
You mock his writing style. You mock his body. You are selling MAGA branded knee pads.
We shouldn't be body shaming. Let me double check that.
These MAGA branded knee pads, they're for all your groveling to Trump needs.
That's for the universities, the law firms. That's for major corporate leaders as well as major.
What they're getting at is that Gavin Newsom has been aggressively going after Donald Trump at the kind of world level, right? He called him out a number of times at the WF meeting in Munich as well. And he's talking about knee pads, right? Branded Gavin Newsom knee pads, but he's positioning it for all of the corporations who are not willing to go up against Donald Trump, i.e. they're getting on their knees. But what you see here is Gavin has no idea how to tackle the mystery of the Trump aura, because what he's trying to do is to be aggressive against Trump, and everybody who has done that has failed. On the Republican side as well, if you remember all of the primaries, nobody knew how to deal with Donald Trump. Gavin Newsom is having the same problem, and it's completely confusing his message because he's all over the map to the point where NPR can't even tell what this guy stands for at this point.
Major media companies. Yes,
but
those knee pads are for them.
Okay. How do you square those playground insults with the listening sessions that you're having with these conservatives on the podcast?
Because I think you can be both and.
But what if you're confusing people as to what you sincerely believe? Like, why not present just one Gavin Newsom, one consistent tone across all platforms?
I am.
What's the consistent tone?
I'm who I am. I'm consistently me. I'm interested in other people.
What she's picking up on, and Gavin Newsom, I don't think is not telling the truth here. I think he is. He's saying it's me, but who he is a shapeshifter. This is how he's gotten to the point where he is in his political career, by just licking his finger, seeing which way the wind is blowing, and then placating that voting bloc. And then when he's in front of the Atlanta contingent, which he was yesterday, and we're going to show you a clip on that, he tries to pander to them. So the pandering, and we saw this with Hillary, right? Remember, her accent would change if she was in the deep South at a Baptist church, or if she was in the Northeast placating to that voting bloc. This is how the Democrats play their game. They change their message, they change their body language, their affirmations, and their dictation, how they speak, depending on who they're in front of. Gavin Newsom's getting called out on it right here. Donald Trump, on the other hand, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, they're consistent as can be and steady in their message, steady in their dictation. Again, you can criticize Donald Trump all you want, but you're never going to get a mixed message like what NPR is picking up on here with Gavin Newsom. Now, talking about yesterday, Gavin Newsom, the lead candidate for 2028 for the Democrat ticket, he was in front of a huge, primarily black conference in Atlanta, Georgia, and he was trying to placate to them, and it went terrible. Terrible. Check this out. And remember, this is a multi-millionaire governor of California going into an urban voting bloc in Atlanta. This does not go well.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940.
Oh, that's not the point, Gavin Newsom. What you're doing right here is completely showing us what you actually think of the people that you're speaking in front of. You're speaking down to them right now, addressing them as a bunch of dummies and saying, look I'm a dummy too, right? Look at me. I got a 960. So Gavin's going to try to twist it here and say, hey, I don't mean to offend you or post up on you if you got a 940 on your SAT because I just got a 960 or 980. No, what he's doing is talking down to this crowd, and they didn't pick up on it, and it's terrible because they should have recognized what Gavin Newsom is doing right here, which is totally offensive, borderline racist, and at a minimum, totally offensive at what he's doing. It's just a pandering technique by a multi-million-dollar politician, and nobody is falling for it.
But literally a 960 SAT guy, I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
I mean, this is bizarre.
Maybe the wrong business.
Totally bizarre.
My dyslexia, I haven't overcome dyslexia. I'm living with it. I was the guy in the back of the classroom and my head down, just praying the teacher didn't call on me. I went through, I think I lost count of how many schools I had to go to. And, I'll never ever forget. My mom's choice was never to label me. She just had to struggle with me. And I walked in, I'll never forget this. It was probably 8th or 9th grade, walking home, got home early. My mom was always working, so, I'm cooking, literally lived on Stouffer's lasagna, macaroni and cheese.
This is a complete load of BS. And incidentally, and again, the crowd didn't know this, just 2 weeks ago, Gavin Newsom had an author on his podcast. The author was actually publicizing his brand new book. It was a 300-page, something like that book. Gavin Newsom told the author just 2 weeks ago, not that he has dyslexia, he said the opposite. He said, man, I got a chance to sit down for 2.5 hours. I couldn't put your book down. I read the whole thing. So what is it, Gavin? Do you have dyslexia when you're in front of, or learning disorder when you're in front of the urban audience, but then when you're in front of your Napa Valley book launch people, you're now a savant? I mean, who is Gavin Newsom? And what he's talking about here at the beginning of this clip, that I'm one of you, I'm just like you. That couldn't be more BS if you literally just picked it out of the sky. This is a picture right here of Gavin Newsom when he was a younger kid. He was in a San Francisco magazine with two of the kids, the sons of the Getty family, and the publication article, or the article title rather, was Children of the Rich. Again, ran in the San Francisco Chronicle in 1991. So I grew up poor. Gavin Newsom was now a Children of the Rich in 91, but he's going to tell the urban audience, oh, I'm one of you. I'm one of you. I had a 960 on the SAT. I can't read books. But then again, he's going to shapeshift and move his messaging around. That's why NPR was confused. That's why we have these issues with CNN. And that's also why Gavin can't run away from the fact that his, actually, you can't see this, but I actually asked Grok how much he's worth. He's worth, the estimates are at least 20 million up to 42 million at the point. And it looks like that's actually a fudge number, that it could be higher. So the one of us, Gavin Newsom, has a history of being a silver-spoon kid that had everything handed to him. Now he's trying to have this aspiration of achieving and getting voted into the highest office in the country, and he's struggling with his message, and the Democrats are struggling with their message as well, because they don't know who to run. Think about the predicament that they're in. The party itself has run off every left to middle voter or representative in D.C. The last one that was a blue dog Democrat was Joe Manchin from West Virginia. And he said, forget it. This was during Biden's tenure. I can't take it. So now they're taking these progressive candidates and trying to play them into the middle, and it's failing miserably. And now you have Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, AOC, and Pete Buttigieg as the best that they could find to lead their party in 2028. So what's going to happen, and this is, again, it's just simple statistics math. I think the Republicans are going to lose their majorities in 2026 and 7 in the midterms, because that's 98% of the time the party that has the White House loses the midterms. That's just for some, it's a quirk. It's what the American voters have done for decades. It's not a statement on Trump, even though I think it should be, more than anything, a statement on the rhinos that are in Congress. But now flash forward 2.5 years into the 28 campaign. This is where J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are going to be making a run for the top of the Republican ticket. These are the candidates that you're going to see going up against them. And they're failing miserably. Kamala's already failed. She's done. There's no way she could regain the top of the ticket. Gavin Newsom and AOC are going to try, no doubt. AOC can't get away, quite frankly, from just totally embarrassing herself in front of the microphone. And everybody knows what she's all about. She's a radical, progressive left House of Representative individual that when you stick a microphone in front of her and she doesn't need your vote, she's going to Green New Deal and past. She's full-blown Marxist. And now you have this guy, Gavin Newsom, who's completely bankrupt California, run a ton of their businesses away, and is quite frankly doing a miserable job just kind of blocking and tackling the basic issues of being a governor. I mean, again, compare Gavin Newsom to Ron DeSantis in Florida. The difference is night and day. Night and day between these two states, and these are two important states. And the differences between these two candidates and what Gavin Newsom has not done in California during his tenure as governor couldn't be more on display. So that's the state of what the Democrat Party's in right now. They're in deep trouble. Deep trouble. They're going to, by default, again, win the midterm. We know that. Doesn't make me happy to say that, but that's just a mathematical fact. Unless there is a miracle, right, that's going to happen. But now, flash forward 2.5 years into 28, they have a huge issue because this bonehead is their lead candidate. And he can't get out of his own way, to the point where CNN and NPR, right, two of the left's most captured media, maybe outside of MS Now or what used to be known as MSNBC, this group is now throttling them because they're not happy with what they're doing, which is they can't bring the goods. They can't get that independent voter. And the answer to why they can't get the independent voters is because they're running with a progressive message that the independent voter doesn't want. They're running on defund the police. They're running on anti-ICE messages. They're running, this is a huge issue, voter ID. 80+% of the polled Democrat voters want voter ID, the SAFE Act. And the Democrats are just running away from this, trying to hold the Senate hostage as we're trying to get this through. So at this point in the stage or in the game, the Democrats have no leader, no message, and they should be in full panic mode. Because what Joe Biden did to the party is just blew it up. And quite frankly, it was Obama. We all know that he was behind the Biden turn. The failed candidate Kamala, no way. And then you look at Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, their leaders right in the House and the Senate. This is a party in complete disarray. They're in deep trouble. So let me know what you think. If you agree with my take that the Democrats are probably going to win in the 26 midterms, and then we're going to flash forward to the 28 presidential race, it's going to be a big problem. Let me know if you agree with that. If you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride, and we'll see you in the next story.
We won.
Okay, let's go.
We won.